Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. In this video, we'll look at the Season 3 episode I can say, in my honest opinion, is the absolute worst episode of the entire series. You may disagree, but I have my reasons. Today's episode is titled, Fool Me Twice. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Lincoln and his family, minus Luan, secretly meeting up to discuss a plan on how to prevent the family jokester from pranking them tomorrow on April Fool's Day. After seeing a movie being filmed at their location with an actor who looks just like their dad, the family decides to hire stunt doubles to take all of Luan's pranks for them. Later that night, the fake family enters the Loud House while the real family takes shelter in the garage. In the morning, Lisa shows her family the security cameras she had set up to monitor the activity. To everyone's surprise, the stunt doubles aren't getting pranked and they casually leave the house. At first, they believe Luan's April Fool's Day prank was not to prank them at all, rather just seeing her family go crazy thinking they were going to get pranked. But Luan appears on the monitor and says she knew her family hired stunt doubles and came up with a much better idea. She rigs the garage to trap her family inside so they can't escape to stop her, and she tells them to watch the monitor to see what their stunt doubles are about to do. One by one, each of the actors, minus the stunt double impersonating Lily, start doing and saying things as a way of humiliating their real-life counterparts. Feeling the ultimate embarrassment, there's only one thing left for the Louds to do. When Luan returns home later that evening, she sees her family moving boxes onto a truck and they say they're selling the house and moving away from Royal Woods because of what happened. Luan pleads for them not to leave and promises to put things right and vows to never prank her family again. Her family then reveals the move was their April Fool's Day prank. Even though Luan commends everyone for their convincing prank, her family gets the last laugh by revealing most of the boxes on the moving truck were empty, except for the boxes that contained Luan's stuff, and she frantically chases after the truck. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. Contrary to the mainstream belief in the fandom that the episode No Such Luck is the worst episode of The Loud House, I have no problem in saying it's not the worst episode ever. It is a bad episode, but not quite on the level as Fool Me Twice. A lot of people I've talked to say it's not that bad, but to me, it really is. I could complain about this being the third April Fool's Day episode in the series, once again trying to decide when this episode takes place and if it's just some random one-off in an alternate universe. But the thing about the April Fool's Day episodes is they tend to take Luan's prankster personality and crank it up beyond normal limitations. You always have to wonder how she's able to set up all these pranks without her family finding out. That's the question in April Fool's Rules, when she's able to escape a cage and still set up her pranks, and at least she concocted an elaborate scheme, for the most part, in Fool's Paradise. But even that episode was more respectable than this one. At least there's a flashback to how things went according to plan. That's one of the main problems with Fool Me Twice, a lack of storyline exposition. It's never made clear how Luan was able to find out her family hired stunt doubles to take her original pranks, which in turn made her come up with a drastically different plan in a short amount of time. Did her family not make it home at 5 o'clock and that made her think something suspicious was going on? Did she find the receipt her dad's stunt double gave him, possibly with a phone number, and that gave her some time to plan something different? What about the cameras she placed around town and how they were conveniently set up in all these specific places? There's no given explanation on how Luan was able to pull any of this off, let alone convince the stunt doubles to do whatever she wanted them to do. The next big issue is regarding the security cameras Lisa had around the house. It doesn't matter if she set them up last night, or in her very own words, last year, because if that were the case, why didn't anyone think to roll back the tape to see what was going on the night before? Surely they could have found some incriminating evidence on those tapes well in advance to stop Luan from pulling off her new prank, or at least see how the family's plan may have backfired while they were asleep in the garage. They weren't even curious to see if these stunt doubles would, steal stuff from their house, but that's just a minor problem in the long run. I guess. It's even more confusing how Luan was able to manipulate Lisa's security system to switch images from the inside of the house to specific areas in Royal Woods. I guess you can't underestimate someone like her. And with that said, we come to Luan, the worst character of the entire episode. Look, I usually don't have a lot of bad things to say about her. She's a girl who likes to be funny, and sometimes her jokes come at the expense of her family, much to their annoyance. But I never pegged her to be the kind of person who would take her standard April Fool's Day pranks to a level that is very much beneath her. Not only do I consider Fool Me Twice as the worst episode of the entire series, I also consider it Luan's worst and cruelest performance. Her role in this episode reminded me of that April Fool's Day episode of SpongeBob, where Squidward thinks putting SpongeBob through a series of humiliating stunts is considered a joke. Maybe it's a joke to the person doing it, but honestly, it's not funny to the person who ends up getting publicly embarrassed in the worst possible way. The fact is, Luan knew exactly what was going to happen when those stunt doubles started doing and saying all those humiliating things, since she was the one giving the orders. I don't want to hear anyone say, she probably didn't know things would go bad. Yes, she did. Just look at that big smirky smile on her face when she comes home. You can't tell me she didn't know what she was doing the entire time. That's the kind of face that says, yup, I know what I did, and I got a good laugh out of it too. Happy April Fool's Day to me. God, I hate that smile. What's even more aggravating is she initially thinks the idea of them moving away is just a joke and that it's not really happening. I'm sorry, but if you became a laughingstock of your own city, wouldn't you want to go far away and never come back? Look, you can say some of the things those stunt doubles did may not be the end of the world, but it's the idea that these near exact lookalikes were engaging in behavior nobody would ever expect these people to do. Granted, we don't know if these actors did more than what was shown on the monitor because Lori smashed it after seeing what her double was doing in front of Bobby, but to them, what happened on that day damaged their reputations, and they thought maybe moving to Florida would be a way to start over. In the end, all it takes for Luan to come to her senses and realize what she did was wrong was to be told to pack up her stuff and leave Michigan for good. It seems a little underwhelming of a punishment given the circumstances, but it does show Luan breaking down in tears and makes the promise to never prank her family again. Obviously, in future episodes, she still pranks her family, but I guess she meant to say she won't prank them on such a large public scale like she did in this episode. Overall, there's no saving grace in this episode. From plot holes to a lacking of storyline explanations on connecting the dots to horrible character presentation, it's one of those episodes I just can't stand. When I first watched this episode back in 2018, I thought it was just bad and nothing more than that. However, when I started watching it over and over again, I came to realize that even one of the best characters on the show, Luan, can prove to be one of the cruelest characters in a single day. She took her pranking too far, and it stopped being funny when you saw no one was laughing with the stunt doubles. In her mind, locking her family in the garage and humiliating them to the point where they wanted to move out of the state just for the laughs was totally worth it. Again, think about that smile she had on her face when it was all said and done. Would she have changed her attitude if her family didn't prank her with that fake house sale? That's up for debate, but I would assume probably not. The only good thing to come out of this episode was Luan crying about the damage she caused and her chasing after the truck carrying her stuff. Call it cruel to take pleasure in someone crying, but she gets no sympathy from me here, and she got what she deserved. Not to the extent that I would have wanted, but her punishment was just, and that's all there is to it. With that said, I give Fool Me Twice a 1 out of 10. Well, folks, that concludes my review of Fool Me Twice. As of late, there hasn't been any other episode ranked as low as this one, or even lower, and that's a good thing because, honestly, I don't think you can get worse than this. But we'll find out how true that is as the series continues. So what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.